I can't feel anything.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where I will be doing another episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives. Today is August 15, 2024. So let's get into the first scene, right? So we see Marlena is at the townhouse and she gets a knock at the door, and it's Kristen and Rachel, right? So Kristen's like, I apologize for coming over so early, but Rachel really had that bad dream. She wanted to see her dad, right? So Rachel was having a bad dream about something something happening to her dad, right? So she just wanted to check on him to see if he's okay. So Marlena is like, well, he came in late last night and he was still sleeping. So she's like, how about we make some breakfast while we wait for him to get up? So Kristen's like, that's fine, that sounds good, let me just make a business call, right? So while they go into the kitchen, right, Kristen is on the phone and she thinks about the whole thing with Brady, talking about her messing up and he actually getting full custody. So at this point I'm like, Brady, you in no shape to get no full custody, because you need to sort out yourself, set up yourself a little bit better, right? You just self-sabotaging, and you're even worse than Kristen at this point. So at some point Brady does come in from the vehicle, because remember he was wasted the other night and Fiona left them seatbelt in there, and yeah, he just walls himself in, and Kristen is like, well, look what the cat drawing, where have you been? So he's like, I've been working late and all of that, and that's why I haven't slept in my bed last night and all that, making up excuses. So she's like, okay, well, your daughter is worried about you, right? So he just he's like, by the way, Basic Black is being swept by Titan, and you're gonna have fierce competition and all of that, blah blah blah. So then he left, and she was there on a business call to Shane, and after that, Marlena came in and asked her where Rachel was. So she's like, I thought Rachel was there with you. So eventually Rachel come back and she's like, Daddy's not there, he hasn't slept in his bed. So Daddy normally doesn't really make his bed or anything, so that's just weird. So eventually he came around and he said he just been busy with work and all of that. So she was just glad to see him. So she's like, can we do something together? So he's like, sure, if that's all right with your mom. So she's like, okay, check me back in the evening, we have a mommy daughter date to do, right? So they go about their business, right? So we see Jada at town square, right, and the security tape is there after Sarah's accident, right? So Paulina is there and she fills in Paulina on what's happening, and Paulina asked if there's any leads to who could have done this. So she's like, no leads as yet, but she's gonna check the surveillance camera and see what she can find, as well as her detective actually found like gray paint or something like that, so it could lead to the fact that it was a gray car. The person could have been intoxicated, right? So Paulina is like, I'm praying for Sarah, and I hope that things do work out and you find the person responsible, right? So she then tells the detective that to keep on looking, to keep on investigating the area, because she got a call from Kayla at this point to say that Sarah is out of surgery and it went well. So she's just there to go question her, right? So I'm like, Sarah just came out of surgery, she is in no shape to like answer any questions, but I guess you just gotta do what you gotta do. So we go on to the next scene. So we see Xander, Maggie, and Fiona at the hospital room waiting to see what happened with Sarah, because she's in surgery at this point, right? So Maggie keeps just blaming herself for just finding the key so that Sarah didn't have to go through this. So Xander is like, don't blame yourself at all, and Fiona is just there pretending to be this supportive, doting mom and all of that, knowing that she caused this tragedy, right? So she's just like, I really do hope that things turn around and she makes it through the surgery. I mean, it's not gonna look good on you if she doesn't, right? So Kayla comes through, and then Kayla informs them of what happened with Sarah, and that she has some internal injuries, some bleeding, but she is okay. She's on some anesthetic, so she's probably out of it. So Maggie asked if they could see her, so she's like, yes, but one at a time, right? So Xander, she let Xander go in before her, right? So then we go to the next scene where Maggie is just, just heartbroken by everything, and Fiona is just trying to, act as a comforting person and all of that, and she's like, who could really leave a person there and just drive off? So Fiona is having a lot of flashbacks about what happened, and Xander was saying earlier that if he finds a person, like if Sarah doesn't make it, he's gonna personally look for that person and tear them limb from limb, right? So she's just there, like this can't come out, right? So Xander comes in, and he's at Sarah's hospital room, and Sarah is already up, look like she woke up from the anesthesia, right? So then she's like, what happened to me? So he's like, you were a victim of a hit and run, and do you remember anything at all? So she's like, yeah, I really can't remember nothing, my memory is fuzzy. So he just was talking about how they're gonna go on their dream honeymoon, no Horton cabin, it's jinxed. So she's like, yeah, I look forward to that. So he's like, how about we take Victoria to the North Pole? So she's like, nah, it's too cold. So they were just talking, right? So we go on to the next scene. So while that was going on, Jada was outside the hospital room, and she's talking to Kayla, finding out how Sarah's doing. So Kayla fills her in, and Kayla is like, she probably is in no shape to really answer a lot of questions, but let me check and find out, right? So at this point, Maggie comes to see Jada, right? So Maggie asks Jada, if there's any leads to what happened. Did they find the person? So Jada is telling her that, so far there hasn't been any footage of a person on the security camera. However, she's going to look on some other cameras in the nearby buildings to see if it picked up somebody, right? So she just offers her empathy and all of that throughout it, right? So Xander comes out, right? And Xander asks Jada the same thing. So she's like, no leads thus far, but I also wanted to add some more to your statement, right? So Xander was like, I didn't really see much other than a car speeding off, and I couldn't make out who it was because I was so focused on Sarah and to see if she was okay. So I really didn't pay attention to who was the driver and all that. So Fiona is just happy, she's relieved about nobody figuring it out, it was her and all that, right? So Jada takes the statement and went about her ways, right? So Xander and Maggie go back into the room, right? So we go back to Brady, right? Because Rachel and Kristen are gone. So Marlena asked how he's doing because she's also worried about him. She was like, should Rachel have any reason to worry about you? So he's like, no, I've just been working a lot. So she's like, I noticed you came in early last night because you normally would be coming in late at night, sleeping at your workplace. So I just want to know if you're okay. So he's like, no, I've just been working really hard. So anyways, he changed the subject to John and asked how he's doing. So she's like, he's good, I needed to give him his pain medication, so I'll be back, right? So anyways, Brady's there, and he's trying to still think about what happened last night. All he could have is little glimpses of what happened, that he knew he was drinking. He's like, I hope I didn't really drive while under the influence. So then he had a memory of Fiona and him having drinks. So he called Fiona, and Fiona answered, and Fiona's like, hello. So he's like, what happened last night? So she's like, I don't know. He's like, I woke up in my car. So she's like, maybe you drove yourself home, because I took a cab. Like, I had no parts in that, So anyway, she's like, I have to hang up. My daughter-in-law had the accident and all of that. So he's like, what happened? So she hung up the phone before he could find out, right? So he's still thinking like, I hope I'm not the one responsible, right? So Marlena comes back out, and Marlena is like, did Xander call you? So he's like, why would Xander call me, right? So she's like, Sarah just got in an accident, and He's like, oh my gosh, poor Sarah and all that. So now he's just really thinking like he hope he's not the one responsible. But at this point, Fiona had the flashback of seat belting him in, and she's like, if it comes back, I don't want to be the person that's going to take the fall for Sarah's accident. So I already know she's trying to set up Brady for this, right? It's all leading to him. But Fiona, you gotta go down. So Jada comes in, right, and tries to question Sarah about what happened, but Sarah still can't remember as much, right? She only could remember, like, I think, you know, a gray car or something like that, but she can't really remember who hit her because she was phased by the headlights of the car, right? So, you know, she really doesn't have any memory or recollection of that night, right? So we see Pauline in the square, and she's like, Rachel Black, you know, the future mayor. So she's like, how do you know my name, right? So she's like, I make it a point of duty to know everybody in this square, right? So she's like, I heard you want to be mayor. She's like, yeah, you know, you make a lot of money being a mayor. She's like, I don't think so. But anyways, Kristen asked her about what's going on with the tape around the place. So she told Rachel to put her headphones in, and Paulina fills her in on Sarah, and she's like, you know, I'm so sorry to hear that. So, you know, did they find who did it? So she's like, not as yet, right? So, you know, she's thinking it's somebody that was under the influence and ran Sarah off. So anyways, she's like, bye Rachel, I'll see you. You know, maybe you can run for class president and all that. So she's like, maybe. So at some point, you know, Kristen did tell her to take the headphones out, and she did hear everything that's happened. So she's like, it's gonna be hard to find the person, right? And she's like, you were hearing everything? So she's like, you were kind of loud. So she's like, you know, a lot of people drive great cars, including Daddy. So that made Kristen think like, oh wait, she did see Brady slumped over coming in. So, you know, it could be him in the great car. You know, it's pointing to him. So let's see what happened with this, right? And at some point, Rachel did say that she did not like Marlena's cooking. She could do better. I mean, this little girl. But anyways, let's go on. So Fiona sees Jada, and right, so she asked Jada if, you know, her daughter-in-law remembered anything. So she was like, no, she doesn't really remember much, but I'll be looking over the footage to see if I find something, right? So she is like, you know, I hope everything works out. So she's just relieved that Sarah doesn't know that it's her and all that. But Lord, lady, you have not one conscience, not one conscionable bone in your body. Oh my gosh. So at some point we see Kayla come in, and Maggie Xander is there with Sarah, right? So Sarah is like, she feeling cold, so Xander gave her a blanket, right? So Kayla is like, you know, we can give you an extra blanket if you still feel extra cold. So she's like, I really am not feeling anything at this point. So Kayla is like, really? So she's like, you know, maybe this is because of the anesthetics or the spinal tap. You know, I'm not feeling nothing, right? Because that tends to happen right after, right? So she's like, you know, where my spinal process is good, and she's like, yeah. So you know, it will probably wear off, but she's just worried that, you know, she's not feeling anything. So Kayla decides to use a device to you know, test out, you know, if she's feeling any sensation in her legs, and she's not feeling nothing. So I don't know what this means. You know, this is not looking good. So that is it, guys. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys for an all new recap tomorrow. Bye.